Time to compare the two most popular small form factor amplifier DAC streamers, the Eversolo Play and the WiiM Amp Ultra. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, Mark of Audio Pursuit. Thanks for taking some time to watch my comparison of these two popular units. I hope if you like this video, you'll consider liking and subscribing. It's important to emphasize up front that both the Amp Ultra and the Play are lifestyle units. They are not true audiophile quality. Therefore, while my observations are based on well over 100 pieces of equipment over the years, and my rather fanatical pursuit of this hobby, I put everything I say in this video within the context of the purpose for the vast majority of buyers. Frankly, I could live with either setup, but there are some important differences. Dimensions of the Amp Ultra are 7.87 inches by 8.3 inches by 3 inches tall, while the Eversolo Play is 9 inches by 9 inches by 2.95 inches. There are just two parts on both units to consider. First, the screen. The WiiM has a 3.5 inch while the Eversolo employs a 5.5 inch. The resolution differences are just as great. The 2-inch difference really limits what the Amp Ultra can display without shrinking the font so much you can't see it. The 2 extra inches of real estate on the Play allows it to include various popular menu icons on the main screen, as you can see, rather than having to drill down a level or swipe. In addition, the main music screen has both artwork and details, and you can even have a translucent spectrum analyzer involved if you wish. Of course, the Play also has several UV meter graphics, while the Amp Ultra just includes a few choices. The volume power selector knob does similar things on both units. However, the quality difference is obvious. The WiiM knob has both a limited depth and smoothness. It feels like it's rubbing up against the reset front face insert. Most likely, it's a financial budget choice that was made. The Eversolo is more substantial in both the depth and a heavier feel. A bit of visual economics is the addition of an LED ring around the knob with the choice of display colors. Therefore, point to the Eversolo Play. If you go around to the back panel, this is another place where the obvious size difference between the two units comes out. With the WiiM Amp Ultra, some of the inputs and outputs from the Ultra streamer needed to be taken out to create room for the speaker outputs. Once again, I have to compliment the design team because all those connections are flush with the back face. That is a nice touch. In addition, WiiM does provide banana plug converters for the binding posts if you like to use spades or bare wires. The layout of the back panel is very simplified and logical with the WiiM Amp Ultra. You have two horizontal rows. The top row consists of the optical HDMI ARC, USB, Ethernet, and RCA left and right. The bottom row has your three-way rounded power cord receptacle, and then your left and right speaker outputs, and finally an RCA sub out. With all that extra room, the Eversolo offers many more input and output options. And once again, it's in two rows. The top row from left to right starts with the trigger input, HDMI ARC, optical, and coax in, left and right RCA inputs, and then a left and right phono. And finally, a vertical stack, you have the right and left speaker outputs. Across the bottom, you have the rocker master power switch, the power socket, the phono ground, Gigabit Ethernet, USB input and output, and finally a sub output just above the coax output. And one final touch involving cooling. because across the bottom there are these ribs that run from back and forth. They also have a really nice feet rather than just rubber bases. Point for the Eversolo Play. Both models use Class D modules. The WiiM Amp Ultra offers 100 watts into 8 ohms or 200 watts into 4 ohms. The Play is 60 watts per channel into 8 ohms and 110 watts into 4 ohms. With easy to drive speakers, the Amp Ultra sounded more powerful. Aaron of Aaron's Audio Corner did the measurements on both. They hit the declared wattage in both cases. In fact, the Play actually exceeded its wattage by a nice number, especially with the 4 ohm load. The Amp Ultra uses a pair of the TI 3255 chips, while Eversolo is silent, only saying that its Class D chips are proprietary. This is not unusual. The late Class D guru Tommy O'Brien designed his own chips. Overall, point to the Amp Ultra for definitely more power. The DAC is the other big difference between the two units under the hood. The Amp Ultra uses the ESS 9039Q2M, while the Eversolo employs the AKM AK4493 SEQ. The sound signatures are definitely different. ESS chips are more open and brighter on the top end, while the AKM sound is softer and richer. This holds true in this comparison. This is where speaker matching comes in. A bright speaker with the Amp Ultra may be too much, but the lifestyle casual listening owner will most likely be able to adjust to whatever speaker they have and be happy. Both units can decode several file formats. However, only the Play can reach up into DSD and PCM files. But how many owners in reality of these units are going to have a music file above 192 kHz anyway? Let's call this a tie. The WiiM Amp Ultra comes with a nice updated aluminum body remote that has a voice activation button on the side. This upgrade is really welcome, as the remote not only feels solid, and also its buttons just had a better feel to them. The Eversolo Play does not come with a remote, though I did order this one for $13. It's your typical HiFi capsule shape. It also had a slight lag to it. Definite point to the Amp Ultra. Both units have a nice heft to them. The casing on the Eversolo is more solid, as it is an all aluminum chassis. The input-output connections on both units are really solid. There isn't any give when you insert cords, interconnects, etc. Finally, the Play does have the ability for the owner to add a 32 gigabyte SSD storage. Therefore, point to Eversolo. The software setup for both amps takes about 10 minutes to get things up and going once you plug them in. It involves setting up the internet, followed by downloading the necessary software updates. At this point, you're only through step 1 of potentially 3 steps. Next thing you'll do is go through to set up your input and output choices. This can be done either on the front screen with both units or via the app on your phone or tablet. In this regard, both are fairly similar, though the Eversolo does seem to have more choices right on the screen, as you can see, versus the WiiM where you have to slide across. Though of course, with the app, the full complement is available for you to use on your phone or tablet. You just need to follow through the process. The chances are the one you work with first and learn may be the one you slightly prefer over the other. This was originally my take, as I had a preference for the WiiM. But as time went on, there were areas where I really liked the Eversolo more. In the end, John Darko Audio branded them software amps. However, I'll stick with lifestyle, as once set up, it's about how it meshes and how you use it every day listening to music. Therefore, let's call this a tie. Both units offer a myriad of streaming choices that cover every major and some mid-level services, with one exception. Only the Eversolo offers Apple Music. WiiM, whether it be a software or contract license issue, just can't seem to offer Apple Music. There are workarounds, of course, using Apple AirPlay, but the whole idea of ease of use has been compromised. Therefore, point to Eversolo. Interestingly, before John Darko came out with his video, I'd already taken notes that kind of matched up with his in this area. The wording on the WiiM subwoofer uses the typical crossover control term, which is much better than Eversolo's term of cutoff. I don't know what the engineering team was thinking at Eversolo, whether there was a translation issue or something else, but really is a bit unfortunate and kind of confuses people, and maybe should have been debated over before going into the final software design. Maybe at some point, when Eversolo offers a full update, they'll change the wording. I also found the subwoofer control to be easier to use on the Amp Ultra. It just seems to make more sense in how they did things, and its options are far greater. Therefore, point to the Amp Ultra. The Eversolo Play has a 15-band graphic EQ and a 10-band parametric EQ with 23 genre preset EQs. The WiiM takes a very similar approach with 24 preset EQ, but only a 10-band graphic and parametric EQ. As convenient as the presets sound, make sure to listen carefully, and in fairness to the few that actually engage a preset EQ, I would employ them only if you're listening to just the one genre over a lengthy period of time. Switching back and forth between songs will keep you from getting lost in the music, and that's what's most important. Once again, let's call this a draw. The ability to digitally correct imperfections in your room's response can seem like nirvana. But like with many things in life, be warned, what may sound good to one day may not be good day in and day out. The WiiM software, I believe, when you look at it, seemed to be a bit more exaggerated in its adjustments as what it picked up in room frequencies versus the Eversolo. Now keep in mind they're both using your phone, but you can order a mic. Now many users of this feature will just accept what the software determines, but I believe a little less adjustment makes sense. So therefore, I'm going to give the point Eversolo. As Aaron of Aaron's Audio Corner pointed out in his videos, there is a wattage difference between the two units, which measures out to be a 3 decibel change between the output of the two units. It's not a deal breaker by any means. First of all, because you can step up the volume in 1 dB increments, or even with the Eversolo, 0.5 if need be. Therefore, it's not a deal breaker by any means. But I am going to say, don't even bother powering Magnepans with either of these units in all due honesty. They just don't have the current to really drive them. They even struggled with my Magnepan 0.7s. Now, as far as my Buchardt S400 Mark IIs, I found happiness with both units, though in reality, I don't need to go above 90 dB with either one of them, because in a small space like mine of 11 by 10 feet, you don't need a ton of volume to pressurize the room. But let's face it, in a small space like mine, you don't need maximum volume to achieve satisfactory loudness, with the exception if you're trying to duplicate a Kiss concert. Bass response was solid with both units. I do believe that there seemed to be a bit more depth and richness to the play than the Amp Ultra. I'm going to accept my own bias, though, of liking the richer sound of the AKM DAC chipset for giving me a more immersive, richer listening experience than the ESS 9039Q2M when connected to the Bucharts. That being said, this really is a speaker-dependent judgment. When I shifted to the Veri-fi Audio Vanguard Scouts at $299 a pair, with its rich mid-range and tapered top end, the Amp Ultra had an advantage with the upper frequencies being more prominent. On the other hand, when Veri-fi Audio sent me their new little Rangers last week at a ridiculous $149 a pair, with their definitely more open top end, the Eversolo I found was overall the more enjoyable experience. Therefore, we'll call this one a tie. Final call between the WiiM Amp Ultra and the Eversolo Play. Software-wise, talking with someone with decades of audio knowledge, as well as doing a bit of deep research, the WiiM software has been around in a different form for years. The Eversolo software is proprietary and does have plenty of money and time into its finished operation. The Amp Ultra definitely has a much better remote. While the app is technically a draw based upon function, the simple fact that you can turn your phone or tablet sideways and mirror the screen on the Eversolo Play is a big deal. But let's be honest, the simple fact is you can learn an app, but you can't change the quality of the music sent to the speakers. While the Eversolo Play wins the category contest, saving $170 is a big deal to many of us. Therefore, if you have the extra cash, in this reviewer's opinion, spend the money and get the Eversolo Play. Otherwise, plan on being perfectly happy with the WiiM Amp Ultra. Either way, as an owner, you win. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out and watching this video. If you enjoy what I have to say, please like and subscribe. That way I can get in more review gear. Until next time, find some really great tunes. Shut down the noise of the outside world and just get lost in the music. Take care.